kicked in. We're kicked in, ready to go. What's happening? What's happening? Questions, comments, whatever you see fit, throw it at me. Oh boy. There's a rift between some guy named Geo on WFAN and some former host, Brandon Tierney. They call him BT. BT. Bachman Turner Overdrive. That's BTO. I was watching this guy in a baseball hut. There's a guy out there called Baseball Hut. I have no idea what he's about. I have no idea what he talks about. I think he talks about WFAN, actually. I do have an idea. I think he describes the goings-on of WFAN on a regular basis, kind of like me. I had a Reco yesterday. It was good. Reco was great. Jerry Recco was fantabulous. He was fantastic. Is my camera here or is it here? That's the question. Am I here or am I here? Your questions, your comments, let it fly. Geo, BT, big feud. I was talking to Al Dukes, that I was talking to our friend Recco about it before the interview yesterday. They knew nothing about it. I don't really care about it, but it is a point of interest to some people. People really dig this kind of thing. So let's talk about it. BT was headstrong. He was a good host. He knows the sports inside and out. He's trying to create something on his own. He's doing a good job. I tuned into his podcast. It's a good podcast. He talks hardcore sports. He talks about some ancillary matters, but mostly sports. And frankly, these guys need to stick to sports. When they go off the rails and they start to talk about all kinds of nonsensical issues, they look like fools sometimes. Sometimes people can be articulate. They can speak off the cuff. They can let it fly on certain topics. But mostly these topics, I don't know. You have to have some kind of a foundation in what you're talking about. You just can't go on willy-nilly to talk about the Iranian war, for instance. The Iranian war, in its complexity, is so mind-boggling. President Trump has gotten us into something so devastatingly tedious that we're going to be dealing with this nonsense forever. So I see these sports guys kind of leaning in and talking about Iran, and I got to chuckle. I got to say, please stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Talk about the Yankees. Talk about the Mets. Don't start pouring on with these topics. But it's very interesting because most people, as you know, have an opinion. We all have an opinion. Now, I started with Geo Tierney. Tierney was the guy who coupled with Sal Licata on a mid-morning show. That was pretty good. I thought that mid-morning show was decent. It wasn't great. It wasn't necessarily caller-friendly. It wasn't what I would call traditional talk radio, but it was relatively good. It was okay. It was scale 1 to 10. I always do this. Scale 1 to 10. I give BT and Sal, their previous program, I give it a hard 6. A rough 6, mostly a 5, I'll give it a 6. Now, Geo, bad-mouthing our friend Tierney on a regular basis for some strange reason. Is it a ratings get? Is it because he wants ratings badly and he needs to up the ratings a little bit, the Nielsen ratings, whatever the hell they go by these days? I have no idea the ratings on the radio these days. I worked on radio for 13, 14 years. I have no idea how they get the ratings half the time. On my program, they had some cockamamie way to get the ratings. They used to tell me, "You're top of the game, Romeo. You're top notch, Romeo." Then my show got canceled, so I have no idea. But BT and Sal were good. Geo's at odds with BT somehow. And you can't help to think it's contrived. Because sometimes these riffs are contrived. Yes? Yeah, sometimes they're contrived, they don't mean shit. But other times there's real hatred. I kind of like when there's real hatred. When you know that two people despise each other, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I have some people that I can't stand. I don't hate anybody. I don't flat out hate anybody. But sometimes I like to go after certain people because they did damage to me in the past. My voice is going. They did damage to me in the past, so I kind of like to, settle the score, if you will. So these people are just settling scores. But I have an idea that BT and Geo has no talent. BT has substantial talent. He's a good broadcaster. I have a feeling they hate each other. I have a feeling it's real. Now, I don't know what Lydia has to say. Lydia, how are you? And we have Geo comes off bad here. He made it a high school. Yeah, Geo, you know what happens? Geo, to make up for his substantial lack of talent, is kind of trying to create a firestorm there. That's what I think. In this apartment, when they use water in the other room, I can hear this guy. I hear my friend taking a shower. Nevertheless, there's a real reason why this thing goes on and on and on, because it doesn't really mean anything in the long run. But frankly, I mean, I see a real rift between these two people. I don't see a contrived version of some sort of a fight just for ratings. I see a real rift. Now, I'm going to evaluate Geo. Now, Geo fell in a big pile of shit, if you will. Pardon my French. A big, gigantic pile of shit. He came along at the right time. He was in the right place at the right time, and he fell into a wonderful morning show, just as I think it was Craig who skedaddled on WFAN. He fell right into that nice time slot with our friend Boomer Esiason. He signed a lucrative contract. Excuse my voice. I have no idea what's going on. It may be the fan. I have so many fans. I have a ceiling fan. I have my fans up there. But he fell into a lucrative contract. And he's been doing good business. Say what you want to say about the guy. The guy's been on in the morning for, I guess, maybe 7, 8 years. Maybe 6 or 7 years. Maybe 5 or 6 years. I'm not sure now. But he's really in a spot where a lot of people are envious. So you gotta kind of work in the envy aspect of the whole thing, because people that are doing big time radio, morning radio, drive time radio on a very celebrated station are the focal point of jealousy many times. So our friend Geo is falling prey to all that jealousy, and people can't stand him just for the mere fact he's on the radio and you're not. See, that's why the keyboard warriors are going crazy on our guy Geo there. Now, Geo he's mediocre. He's not a good radio guy. He's a fair radio guy. He does his job. He's competent. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. He does know what he's doing. It's not like Boomer is any great shakes, because Boomer is kind of suspect in what he's doing. I have no idea how Boomer stayed on the air for as long as he stayed on the air, because Boomer is not a radio guy. Boomer's a TV color analyst. He's very good at analyzing. I'm so sorry. He's very good at analyzing ball games. And the guy knows his football inside and out. The guy really knows his football, and he's a very good an analyst. But I will say this: as far as a dynamic program that every station needs in the morning, which is the lifeblood, if you will, of a said station. I mean, any station that you could consider a big-time radio station, even though radio is kind of on the downside. I understand that, but radio is still a great source of information, and people go to the radio still, regardless. The drive time show in the morning is crucial. That show sets the stage, sets the standard for the entire day. If they're subpar, the rest of the day sometimes is a little, let's say it leaves a little bit to be desired, to say the least. So you got to really hit that airwaves at 6 o'clock in the morning and really show your wares in the morning. And these guys are just mediocre, but the ratings slap me right in the face. I mean, the ratings give me a big, screw you, Romeo. They're doing bang up ratings in the morning. So it doesn't correlate with the quality of the show. The show itself has drifted to kind of bathroom humor, or what do they call it? Yeah, bathroom humor. They do all kinds of nonsense in the morning. And it doesn't set the tone for the station very well, but Gio is a big part of that. They have a nice little back and forth, but I don't know. I just, he signs contract after contract. He's very mediocre. He seems to be a decent guy. I have nothing against him. But I think to drum up the ratings or to drum up interest, I think because we're in a world of social media where people have to be at odds, they have to be banging heads in order to be relevant. They got to really get it going to be relevant. I think that that they're doing things that aren't necessarily what they feel. I mean, you can tell when something's bullshit when they keep pushing it and pushing it. When it gets no traction, like the rift between Gio, and just to get you caught up here, the rift between supposed rift between Gio and what's his face, BT. I think it's kind of contrived just to drum up things, to get things going in the morning. I have no idea why. But man, oh man, I saw that great film last night. I always bring it up during the course of time here. I saw that great film, Marathon Man from 1976 last night. The great Dustin Hoffman. Oh my gosh, I put a DVD in. Do you know what a DVD is? Anybody know what a DVD is these days? I got stacks of DVDs. And let me tell you, my DVD collection can choke a horse. I had Marathon Man. I had On the Waterfront, 1954. My wife and I had a picnic last night. We were watching, what else did we see? We saw a quiz show, something with Ralph Fiennes, John Turturro, and it was a Robert Redford film of the 90s. Fantastic film. The quiz show, just tremendous. Jerry and Boomer's face this morning while Gio went back to the BT. Yeah, if you're sitting alongside somebody and they can't get off a topic and you want to get on with things and you don't want to linger on all this garbage, it's rough when that guy sitting alongside you is kind of single-minded, talking about his little tizzy with the guy down the other end of the dive. Yeah, I get it. What else do we have? Boomer is mediocre, very mediocre. Boomer is terrible. Yeah, well, the political thing gets in the way, but the political thing is okay. I'm from the school where I think people should chime in as they see fit. I'm not going to curtail an actress, an actor from saying his due. Why can't a guy who portrays other characters in a movie have his political view? Why can't he let his political view be known? There's no real reason why a guy who acts in movies can't just let it all hang out. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I think that when I lean in like that, I'm so nearsighted. I have to see your comments by leaning in like that. But you'll forgive me. Yeah, I'm not the kind of guy who frowns when at the Oscars they start waxing political. I'm not the guy that's saying, shut your big trap, or I wasn't the guy who said to LeBron James, "Shut up and dribble." I think when you have something to say, you want to talk about politics, you just talk about politics. It's all well and good. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know what I think? I think that your questions, your comments, let it fly. And we'll gather strength as we go on here. We've been on for a couple of minutes, but we'll gather strength as we go on here. Yeah, I saw a quiz show. Great film. Fantastic film. What's funny about Ray Fiennes? Ray Fiennes, hell of an actor. Schindler's List. Ray Fiennes, Schindler's List. Quiz show. Two standouts. He spells his name exactly like mine, but he pronounces it Rafe. R-A-L-P-H. And he says his name is Ray Fiennes. I don't get it. Maybe you get it. Fine actor. He portrayed that guy that was embroiled in the quiz show situation so beautifully. Now, I saw that movie actually in the theater around about 1995 or 1996 or something like that. And boy, it was tremendous. Tremendous. Now, I've seen that film maybe 6 or 7 times. And it's been fabulous every time. I watch a film maybe 50, 60, 70 times. I mean, I've seen On the Waterfront maybe 150 times. I've seen Casablanca maybe I say about 85, 90 times. I'm not even kidding. No exaggeration. I've seen Gone with the Wind. I've been swept up with Gone with the Wind maybe 45 times. Scarlet, frankly, I don't give a damn. 45 times. Those films cannot be played often enough. I have a big screen. I have DVDs, throwback DVDs. I have a collection that can choke a horse. And every once in a while, when I have a little free, I kind of go in there and put on a movie. I saw a movie, The Insider, Pacino, Russell Crowe. I think maybe 1993, if I'm not mistaken. One of the greatest films, a sleeper, absolute sleeper. One of the greatest films I've ever seen in my entire life. If you have not seen The Insider, you have not seen, now who is in that? Christopher Plummer portrays Mike Wallace. It's about CBS News. It's about Russell Crowe plays the character of a guy from Long Island, actually, who was embroiled in a scandal because he came out against the tobacco company. And it's just a tremendous film. Pacino plays the journalist from CBS. Christopher Plummer, who's dead now, sorry to say, plays Mike Wallace. It's a fabulous film. The Insider. That's my recommendation. Yeah, held for review. Held for review. Yeah, it's a tremendous film. Christopher Plummer, General Chang in Star Trek. You know something? Star Trek was my cup of tea. You know, I watched Star Trek when I was 7 years old, back in 1967. Star Trek was made, I think, 66 and 67, or either 65, 66, 67, or just 66 and 67, the original. I'm talking Shatner, I'm talking Nimoy, I'm talking George Takei, I'm talking DeForest Kelley. Star Trek was it was a Desilu production. Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball. The sets were cardboard. You had sets in the original Star Trek that I could just knock down with an elbow if I wanted to. But it worked. The episode of Charlie O. Do you remember? Charlie O. Where he can move things and kill people with his mind. They take aboard this young man. I think it was Robert not Robert Downey Jr. No, Robert something Jr. Who's he's dead now too. Everybody's gone down out to pasture. They're all dead. I hate to report. The only guy that's still alive from Star Trek is Shatner. DeForest Kelley dead, Nimoy dead, Scotty dead. I forget his name. Takai's still around. He's a character. But that ran from 1966, 1967, maybe 68. I don't think so. I think it was more like the middle of 65, 66, 67. When they made that, that was down in the ratings every single year. That never did well. When that was being made, it never did well whatsoever. It failed terribly in the ratings, but in reruns on WPIX in New York, that thing did gangbusters. I watched the originals back in 1967, and I think it would come on Sunday nights on NBC, Channel 4 in New York. And I begged my mother to allow me to stay up till 9 o'clock. Back in the old days, I was 7 years old, and I used to watch Star Trek. And then when it was canceled, I was sad. Then it came back forcefully in reruns, and it was fantabulous. It was great. Any Star Trek fans out there? DeForest Kelley. I saw DeForest Kelley interviewed. Hell of an actor, hell of a character actor. He played cowboys. He played some cops. He played some down and out vagabonds. He played some interesting characters, but he was well known as McCoy, Bones, in Star Trek. Yeah, Christopher Plummer. Yeah, we got it. He was well known as the antagonist there. He was really a pain in the ass. And he never understood the Vulcan way of life. I mean, anybody that can't understand the Vulcan way of life, I mean, you can't think too highly of anybody like that. But yeah, Alex Kaufman killed the franchise. I don't know who Alex Kaufman is. That's our friend. Who's that? Perez. I don't know who Alan Foster is. DeForest was frankly a Western. Yeah, he played a lot of Westerns. In fact, I tuned into Bonanza. And who's the character who's not very nice character? Kind of a character that you wanted to hate. In an episode circa 1963 of Bonanza, Pernell Roberts, Michael Landon, Dan Blocker, Lauren Green, the wonderful cast of Bonanza, Channel 4, the mainstay, Sunday evenings. Yeah, Bonanza. You didn't go anywhere. You watched Bonanza on a Sunday night. You maybe watched Walt Disney, World of God knows what. Maybe you watched the other Wild Kingdom first. Then you tuned into Walt Disney. Then I think Bonanza topped your Sunday off. Then you went to bed and you started your work week. Man, am I old. Oh, my God. I was born September 20th, 1960. And, oh, my God. I can't believe it. I am 65 years old. I am 65 years old. You can tell by the hair. 65 years old. Jesus Christ. I used to dye my hair a long time ago. I said, screw that. I got tired of all that. But, hey, the reason why I'm talking Star Trek is because I'm trying my best to get Shatner on the channel. I'm going to go with Gary. If you remember, this is nostalgia, folks. I'm going to go with Gary Puckett sometime this week. We have Joe Beningo, WFAN, on, I think tomorrow Joe's going to join me. Bill Boggs, if you remember Bill Boggs, the midday show on Channel 5 in New York. Do you remember Bill Boggs? Bill Boggs will join me tomorrow. Going to do a live broadcast with Bill Boggs tomorrow at 12 Eastern. So noon Eastern tomorrow. The great Bill Boggs will be with me. How do I get these people? I just ask them. I just somehow get their social media thing. Their social media thing, or sometimes I actually get their their phone number, and we just go for it. And Riedel's with me. Michael Riedel, formerly of WOR. We do a program together every week, so you'll tune in for that. Also, Jay Diamond, I'm trying really hard to get Jay on the air. But Jay's kind of hesitant because he knows people are going to be after him for changing his views on everything. So I think Jay Diamond is kind of hesitant coming on with me. But Jay Diamond, the greatest talk show host on the planet in his day. Jay Diamond literally walked off the street, walked up to WABC, asked for a job. He told me this. Asked for a job. Just a guy, I don't know what he did previously. He actually befriended Bob Grant. Asked for a job on ABC. Grant took him under his wing, campaigned for him on WABC. And before you knew it, he was a guest on Grant first. I think he screened calls for Grant for a very short time. And he did a few voices. He did a great Reagan. He did a great Bing Crosby. If you remember, I'm dating myself. He did a great Lynn Samuels. He actually imitated a personality on the station. Lynn Samuels would talk. Lynn Samuel, oh my God, and my God. That was Lynn Samuels. I don't do a bad imitation myself. He actually imitated Lynn Samuels so perfectly that the audience thought that was Lynn Samuels back in the old days. But the great Jay Diamond will not. He is really hesitant going on my channel. First I asked him if he would go, if he would come on my radio show. When I had the radio show, I have to get back on the radio, but when I had the radio show, I asked Jay if he would come on the radio show. And he said yes, but they always turned me down the last minute. I didn't get mad at him because it was just because he had a real fear of getting back out there, I guess. I have no idea why. But I tried my best to get him on the radio station. Now I want to get him on the channel here. And I was able to get his phone number. We talked a couple of times, so we're trying hard to get Jay Diamond. If there are Jay Diamond fans out there, please let your feelings be known, because good stuff. When I come home from my job live, it's like the old days when you used to call Francesa, put on Hi Ralph, let's have for two. Yeah, I never was on 2 for Tuesday, but yeah, Francesa's got to learn how to smile, man. Francesa's got to, his face is going to crack if he doesn't smile. I mean, Mike, the whole world, you have the world by a string, Mike. I mean, you have everything at your fingertips. You have made a fortune in this business. Please, in your final years, I'm not saying your final years are at hand necessarily. I'm not giving you a time limit. But let's put it this way. At this stage of your life, Mike, let's let it all hang out a little bit. What is the whole, stoicism? Why do you do that, Mike? Let it all hang out. One time, if you got Francesa on the airwaves and he kind of let it all hang out, wouldn't it be great? You'd say, this is out of character. My God. You're right. He's a friggin' grump. I'm so grumpy, man. You got all the money in the world. I wish I had your money. I know money isn't everything, but it helps, right? Holy Christ. You think the world was coming to an end, for Christ's sakes. It's unbelievable. But, hey, the reason why people are the way they are, first of all, it's upbringing sometimes. If you were reared in a terrible home and everybody abused you, which I don't think Mike had, I'm not sure, I can maybe understand why you have a cantankerous personality well into your 60s. I can maybe, or is he 70? I have no idea. I can well understand why. But Francesa, who grew up modestly, not poor, modestly, in Long Island, Long Island with that dumb accent. What do you have to be so grouchy about, as the Italians would do this kind of thing? What the hell do you have to be so grouchy about? Come on, man. Now, I have reason to be grouchy sometimes, and I'm always a good guy. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, Romeo. Sure. All right, so if you go back, I have Frankie Valli on this station. I have Dennis Tufano. I have Bill Medley on this station. I have the great Richard Neer on this station. I have the great Donnie Most from Happy Days on this station. I have Mike Farrow from MASH on this station. I have the great Joe Beningo on this station. I have countless people on this station. If you go back into my content, you'll find all that good stuff. You get when you grew a brain cell back in the sounds ground even when it come home from my job and Ralph was this way. Yeah, okay, all right. But I actually asked Bill Medley to give me soul and inspiration. You know how Soul and Inspiration, circa 1966, something like that, the Righteous Brothers. Do you happen to remember how that song started? Girl, he had that voice. Girl, I won't let you do this, let you walk. When he's that Bill Medley thing. I asked Bill Medley, can you give me the first two lines of Soul and Inspiration? Bill Medley, 9 feet tall, more of a narrow face than yours truly. Like very chiseled, narrow kind of face. He's old now. He broke into Soul and Inspiration. Hey, he went, girl, I won't let you do this, let you walk away and all that. I said, go to the chorus, Bill. Go to the chorus. He went, you're my soul and It was beautiful. When he broke into that chorus, I said, man, you just brought me back to the 60s. Let me tell you. Then I had Frankie Valli. And Frankie has no voice anymore. I mean, I said, give me the falsetto, Frankie. Give me Big Girls Don't Cry, Frankie. Big Girls. He broke into that thing, but it was nothing like that. Nothing like that. He couldn't get to Big Girls Don't. He couldn't get to that. He did something like this. Big girls don't cry. The guy's 90 years old, or 92 or 93. I had him on 3 years ago, and the guy's 100 years old, for Christ's sake, so I asked too much. And I had Henry Winkler, the Fonz, and that was good. I said, Henry, give me a little A. He said, Ralph, Henry kind of talks like this. He's from the Bronx originally. I think he's from the Bronx. And Henry's kind of, Ralph, unless they pay me, which they paid me good money in the 70s to play that role of the Fonzie. I'm not going to do the Fonz. I didn't ask. I just said, the Fonz character started out as a sideline character, kind of a ancillary character. The Fonz character was not a main character on Happy Days when the show began, I think in 1974. Fonzie grew. Fonzie had a windbreaker in year one. Fonzie did not, the networks did not want Fonzie to have a leather jacket. A leather jacket signified a hoodlum. So ABC, the network, did not want Fonzie to wear a leather jacket. He had a windbreaker. It was ridiculous. A guy comes up on a windbreaker on a motorcycle, perfect hair, a little ridiculous. But the hair, he's riding a motorcycle, not one hair, it's like mine, not one hair moved. And he told me the whirlwind back in those days of Happy Days, circa 1974, was unbelievable. He told me you could not believe that we could not walk down the street even for a minute without being swarmed by massive amounts of people. And this was 50 years ago. And the phenomenon was incredible. There's one segment of the Mike Douglas show. I don't know if you've seen the Mike Douglas show. If you remember, 4:30 every afternoon, weekdays in New York, Mike Douglas. They did a segment on Mike Douglas. They had Anson Williams, Ron Howard, Henry Winkler, Donnie Most, and they came on the show. I think Joni was there too. She's dead too. That poor thing. She died so tragically. What's her name again? God damn it, I can't remember. But Joni was there too. So they were sitting on the Mike Douglas show. Let me tell you something. They come out. People are screaming like the Beatles. Ronnie Howard with that baby face, fresh out of American Graffiti, fresh out of Andy Griffith. He comes out there first. They first introduced Ron Howard because originally it was Ron Howard's show. And Ron comes out by himself. The place goes wild. The place goes berserk. It goes crazy. He comes out. They introduce Donnie Most, who's been on this program many times, this channel many times. He comes out. The place goes apeshit. Anson Williams and all his, Anson Williams was a little bit corny, right? Nice guy, I'm sure, and everything. He had a little bit of a corny way about him. I can't explain it. Anson comes out, gets a big round of applause. They send, and Joni comes out. Joni comes out. Yeah, Joni comes out. And she gets her round of applause. She was a great child actor, by the way. She was fantastic. But Henry Winkler comes out last. That's when the phenomenon was hitting. When everybody in the world knew the Fonz. He walked out on the Mike Douglas show. The whole place fell out. Fell out. And he's sitting there. He said, yeah, it's very difficult for me to handle this kind of fame, with this Bronx accent. Very, very difficult for me to handle this kind of fame here, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. And Mike Douglas, the cornball of all cornballs, right? He is just a cornball. He's leaning in to Henry Winkler, just like I'm going to lean in right now, like this. He's leaning into Henry Winkler. This close, he's leaning in. This close, he's leaning into Henry Winkler. Mike Douglas is having sex, just about, with Henry Winkler on the set of the Mike Douglas show. He's so close. He said, tell me, Henry. How are you handling this fame, Henry? They're nose to nose. Yeah, like this, dude. It's ridiculous. But then I asked Donnie Most about it. He said he had no memory of that time. He said, I know that I did it. Donnie Most, Ralph Mouth. I asked Donnie, I said, do you remember the appearance on Mike Douglas in 1974 or so? And he said, yeah, I know that I did it. I know it was scheduled. But I have no memory of it. I said, you handled yourself, Donnie. I call him Don now. He wants to be called Don. You handled yourself, Don, better than anybody on that show. He was very, very thoughtful, very reflective, very interesting, the things that he said on that Mike Douglas interview. And Ron Howard looked overwhelmed. Now, Ron Howard was the mainstay of the whole cast. Ron Howard was a veteran at the age of 8. Andy Taylor, Opie Taylor on the Andy Griffith show. But Ron Howard was the most nervous. And I've been trying to get Ron Howard on this channel, and it's very hard to get him. He's a big-time director, or he was, or I think he's still working, I'm not sure. He's hard to get. Henry was hard, very difficult. Anson Williams, I really don't want. No offense. But Donnie comes on all the time. He's a great guy. But this is the phenomenon. The phenomenon of Happy Days back in the old days. Unbelievable. And the first season, It was not in front of a live audience. There was a laugh track the first season, if you remember. It was just, and it didn't have the spontaneity, it didn't have the power that it did in front of the live audience, if you notice. That first season, they had a laugh track. They had Tom Bosley, Marion Ross, and and crew there. And and they had the 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock rock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock rock, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock rock, we're gonna rock. That was the theme song. But then they made their own theme song, which you had to in those days. These happy days are yours and mine. That one came about the second season when they made that great change. Maybe it was the third season. I may be wrong on that. When they made the great change into a live audience. And that made all the difference in the world. Because if you're not in front of a live audience, same thing happened to The Odd Couple. This is nostalgia. Nostalgia day here on Romeo TV. The Odd Couple fell on its face the first year in 1970 with Tony Randall and Jack Klugman. Fell on its face because it was filmed in a studio, no live audience. They went to live audience on the second season and the series took off. Now, The Odd Couple, my favorite show, my favorite duo on TV ever. Klugman, Randall, Carol Connor and Gene Stapleton, number 2. Carney and Gleason, maybe number 3. You know, there've been some wonderful people. But I would tell you that the show, if you remember The Odd Couple and the narration in the beginning, the walking around New York City, the New York City feel, even though it was shot in California, of course, they went back to New York and filmed all the promos and all the good stuff that you saw in the beginning, along with the Madison's wife had thrown him out, requesting that he never return. Can 2 divorced men, when that whole thing was filmed in New York, they went to California to make it. But as soon as it was put in front of a live audience, it took off. But the show never hit the top 10. The show never hit the top 20. The show struggled to stay on the air the entire time it was on the air on ABC. It was never a hit on ABC, never once. And I just remember that it was appointment TV. I watched the show when it first came on Channel 7, but later on it was appointment TV to watch The Odd Couple, PIX, in New York. Odd Couple at 11 o'clock. In the summertime, Odd Couple at 11 o'clock. Honeymooners at 11:30. You had to be there. Do you remember? You had the great Klugman. You had the great Randall, who despised each other in the beginning. They grew to love each other. They grew to become fast friends, but in the beginning, they hated each other. Tony Randall hated smoking, and Jack Klugman was a chronic smoker. And they were sitting, this is a story, they were sitting in the back of a limo, and they were waiting for them to set up the shots that you saw before the show's start. And they're sitting there, Klugman's smoking with the windows closed. Ugh, I hate smoke myself. Smoking with the windows closed. And Randall's having a conniption because he hated smoking and they despised each other so much. But they grew to be fast friends, so much so that when Randall passed away before Klugman, surprisingly, when Randall passed away, Klugman was just crestfallen. He wrote a book dedicated to Tony Randall, and the rest is history. That show lasted, I think, from 1970, 5 years. From 1970, I'm roasting them. From 1970 to 1975, if I'm not mistaken, it was never a big hit. Never once did it crack the top 10. Never once did it crack the top 20. Never a hit whatsoever. but the show lasted for 5 years. John Lennon, Yoko, co-host of the Michael Douglas Show. Yeah, Mike Douglas Show for a full week. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone, and that's our friend Elephant. Yeah, I remember they would give a certain person maybe the whole week. I think they gave Sly Stone the entire week. Maybe it was 1968 or 69 or so. Stone was stoned the entire time. Sly Stone came on Mike Douglas, stoned every day. More than stoned. Stoned kind of means, I'm thinking pot. I'm thinking weed when I think of stone. But he had a little bit more in his system than just pot, I think. He would come on and he went on an acid trip. He went on a full-fledged acid trip on the Mike Douglas Show, if you remember. Stone would get, he'd sit right next to Douglas, and they'd bring on these eclectic guests, one after the other. They didn't bring on just every Tom, Dick, and Harry. They would have on Truman Capote, then they'd have on some other author, some other writer, then they'd have on a big-time movie star. It was very, very eclectic. The guests were eclectic as hell, and Sly Stone is taking all this in. He's on an LSD trip, for Christ's sakes. I don't know about LSD trips, but I know it when I see it, I think. And I remember they gave Stone, and Yoko, if I remember right, Yoko and John, didn't Yoko and John sleep together on that? They came out in a bed. When they rolled out, Elephant, you know everything. Weren't they rolled out in a bed? I think Yoko and John came out actually having intercourse as they entered the studio. I think John Lennon was inside Yoko Ono, and Yoko was groaning, because Yoko, let me tell you about Yoko. Oh, I had a little run-in with Yoko one time. It was very funny. Central Park. We'll get to that in a minute. Well, the woman that broke up the Beatles, the culprit that broke up the Beatles, she gets a whole week. Boy, did she fall into a big pile of shit when she married John Lennon. Let me tell you, there's never been a more talentless woman. I'm sorry. The artwork? No. I'm sorry. The music? You want to call that music? Yoko Ono's music? I mean, the woman's 90 years old now, I think. But Yoko Ono's music, give me a break. The Beatles broke up. The Beatles broke up the Beatles. Ralph, you have it wrong. You have it wrong, Ralph. The Beatles broke up the Beatles. The Beatles decided. The common thought is that Yoko sabotaged the Beatles. All right, Joe. Okay, if you say so. So John said, I don't want to do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. I mean, it's just not working for me anymore. I can't do it anymore. I mean, Paul, I used to love you. Now I hate you, Paul. I can't do that. They despised each other after a while. And then that freak had to go shoot him in 1980 in front of the Dakota, Central Park West. He talked to his assassin, John Lennon, spoke to his assassin the morning of his execution. Did you know that? He spoke to that nut. I won't even mention his name. I don't want to mention his name. He's such a creep. He spoke to that maniac the same morning that the guy shot him. Shot him later in the day. I think he signed something, took a picture with him. He signed an album or something. So the killer was just scoping him out. And John used to walk around. He used to walk around Manhattan unguarded. There was nobody around John. John would walk into a radio station. This is a true story. He'd listen to a radio station. It may have been WMCA. He'd be listening from the confines of his Dakota house there, the beautiful, beautiful digs on Central Park West. And he'd hear something disparaging about himself or the Beatles, and he'd actually take it upon himself to walk down to the station and confront the host, because if John Lennon actually walks into the studio, you're not going to tell John Lennon to get lost. Get out of here. John Lennon, unannounced, went to this radio station on a regular basis, maybe even 2 or 3. He'd walk in unannounced. They'd roll out the red carpet for him. He'd get on the air with the host who previously was knocking him. And he'd say, "What are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? What are you talking about?" He'd start to give it to him right there on the air. And John walked around unguarded. He trusted most people. He wasn't the greatest humanitarian in the world. That's all contrived. He had a bad side. God rest his soul. He had a bad side also. An abusive side also. You understand that, don't you? I'm not going to be all roses about the guy because he got killed. But he had a good side also, and a genius side also, a drug-addled side. He had the works, right? A complicated human being. But he trusted New Yorkers. He felt at home in New York. He was always feeling that New York was his true home. He was, of course, across the pond. He was born. He came over. He always felt that New York City, right in that enclave of the Upper West Side on 72nd Street, that beautiful Dakota building. And he always felt at home there. He'd walk around with nobody around him. Yeah, Yoko would take a walk with him from time to time. They'd go out all the time. They were photographed. He gave people the ability to photograph him all the time. He was very, very good with people. But it was his downfall. He didn't have anybody to protect him. And in 1980, in December, when Howard Cosell came on the airwaves and said, "I have something just came in. Something just came in. Very, very disturbing news. Just came in. John Lennon has been shot in front of the building, his building, the Dakota in New York City. John Lennon just was shot. Oh, I cannot believe what I just said." Howard Cosell breaks in on a stupid Monday Night Football game that meant nothing, and good for Howard. John Lennon executed. No, he didn't know that he was dead at that point, just knew he was shot. When Howard Cosell, toupee and all, came on, and he gave that tragic news to America, and America gasped. America was taken aback. This is how somebody appears to be when they're taken aback. This was collectively America upon learning that John Lennon was shot. That was America at that time. When I heard that Lennon got knocked off, I lost all faith in humanity. When I heard that Mama Cass Elliott, choked on a ham sandwich, which she really didn't, I lost all faith in humanity. That's true. It's kind of true. I'm kidding, but it's true. I'm kidding, but it's true. He just made that album. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. And I really love to watch him roll. You know that thing? Where I think he allowed Yoko to scream on a few tracks. Yoko, try singing, Yoko. Try to sing. Ah! Here's Yoko's best. Ah! One time, Yoko was in Central Park. Now, you can't smoke. Back to smoking. I have no idea why. I can't stand smoking. I'm talking about it twice. You can't smoke in Central Park. You couldn't smoke in Central Park in the 90s. They outlawed it. I think 1995 it came around, something like that. Yeah, thank God they did what they did about smoking in the Great Haven Central Park, the great storied Central Park, right? I'm sitting there, right? I'm actually doing push-ups like an asshole. I'm doing push-ups. I'm doing all kinds of things. I got my dumbbells out in Central Park. That's a real nut. I used to live very nearby. So Yoko's sitting over there. I'm over here doing my stuff over here. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Mr. Athlete, she's smoking because she's Yoko Ono. And she doesn't have to follow the rules. Are you with me? So I looked at Yoko. I said, Yoko, there's no, I really did. This sounds like, God knows what it sounds like. True story. Yoko, there's no, I didn't say it that way, the way I started. Just say, Yoko, there's no smoking here. Now, I said it in a way where she probably didn't even know where it came from. There are other people around me. I'm over here. Yoko's over there smoking like a chimney. Disgusting habit. Ridiculous habit, right? I hate it with a passion. She smoked. Look at me. Did I ever smoke? Of course not. Smoke. I said, Yoko, there's no smoking. Like that. Now, there's a bunch of people here. I don't think she knew it was me. But then like nothing was said. She's just sitting there smoking. And so I said it again. Then she knew it was me. And you know what she did? Take a guess on what she did. She didn't say anything. She just gave me one of these. She didn't need to say anything, right? So, did she stop? Of course not. So, you know what? I ended up moving because I couldn't take it. I was standing downstream. It was a terrible situation, let me tell you. But it's true. And also, Roberta Flack. She's passed now too, the great Roberta Flack. Killing Me Softly with her song. She's dead, so she killed herself softly. You're right. Willie Mays. Who's that, Chet? My buddy Chet, my good buddy Chet, my favorite guy. Willie Mays and Yoko, you know what they can do, right? I don't want to say, can kiss my ample ass. Well, Willie's not going to kiss anybody's ass anymore. She gave me that solid finger, erection and erection in her hand. The erect middle finger she gave me. And I wanted to break it off. What was I going to say now? God damn it. I can't remember, but I'm telling you. Yoko's best. Avant-garde bullshit. I was just talking to my wife this morning about avant-garde theater and all the avant-garde theater that I've done in my time, believe it or not. I've done some traditional great stuff, but I've done some avant-garde bullshit for a little paycheck, maybe here and there, right? A little paycheck. But it's not avant-garde. That's just noise, Yoko. That's straight out noise. Man, they gunned down John on that fateful day, and Howard came on board. Boy, did he! Let me tell you something. He looks like somebody. You talking about me? He looks like somebody. Everybody say, and you know what people say to me? Oh, come on, man, that's not your real hair. Hey, it's all real, you goofballs. Look at it. It's all real, you goof. It's not your real hair. Not everybody is bald. I'm sorry. The whole world isn't bald. I still have every hair on my head, okay? I can't help it if I'm gifted. But getting back to Bill Medley. Then I said to Bill, I said, now give me the first line of the other song. the newer. Well, first of all, he gave me that. You never close your eyes anymore. Oh, he gave me that. You lost that love and feeling. He gave me soul and inspiration. I used to call it soul and perspiration. He gave me, girl, I won't let you do this. Let you. He gave me that one. Then he gave me, well, I had the time of my. Oh, when he broke into that, the one that he did with Jennifer Warnes. Let me tell you something. He's 90. I think he's 145 years old as we speak. And Frankie Valli, I believe that Frankie Valli is just a mere 132 years old. And he regularly lip syncs. And maybe you went to Trump's hair guy. No, you goofball. No, for scalp reduction? No. What the hell is scalp reduction? Sounds like a painful procedure. Yes, Mr. Romeo. We're going to reduce your scalp. It won't hurt a bit. I can just see, whenever they tell you that it won't hurt a bit, you better duck. You better duck for cover, because it's going to hurt a lot. This won't hurt a bit. Oh, yeah? The last guy that my dentist said it won't hurt a bit. That's before he drilled me. And speaking of that, I saw Marathon Man again, as I mentioned at the top of the program here. Is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? The great Olivier. Oh, my God. You damn right I could sing. I have no idea, man, if I'm doing it for real. No, hey, man, I'm the most musical guy, the most athletic guy in the world. I'm the most underpaid guy in the world. All three. Brilliant. Genius. Oh, this asshole is, I got an asshole here. Okay. That's all right. Hey, listen. Hey, goofball. If you get off doing all this and you like to say your piece, have a good time, man. Have a good time. Be a dickhead and have a good time. Be the biggest jackass in the world and have a good time, man. Have a good time at my expense. It's all right. Maybe you want to have lots of hair. No hairspray. Sorry, no hairspray. No. It's maybe I have a little gel in there. That's it. So we have Benigno coming up in a day. We have Benigno coming up in a day. We have Benigno. We have Bill Boggs, as I mentioned before, Midday Live. Bill Boggs. We have Bill Boggs will be with me tomorrow. Gary Puckett of Gary Puckett in the Union Gap. You remember when Gary Puckett made a song? He didn't write it because he didn't write any of his music. Remember when he made a song, Young Girl, Get Out of My Mind? My love for you is way out of line. You better run, girl. Much too young, girl. Beneath your sequins, beneath your pigtails and makeup, there's just a baby in disguise. Get out of here before I find the time to change my mind. I asked him about Young Girl and all the flack that he gets from Young Girl, and he says this was 1971. I'm sorry, 1968, more like it. This was 1968. Everybody wrote songs like that. I didn't write that song, but I did that song. He did Woman, Woman, Have You Got Cheating on Your Mind? Lady Willpower, It's Now or Never, Give Your Love to Me. He did, Why Am I Losing Sleep Over You? And he did Woman, Woman, oh yeah, I said that already. But the young girl thing got him in a heap of trouble. In the politically correct era of 2026, it got him in a heap of trouble. You can't please everybody People ask me for Beningo. Get Beningo on. I get him on once a month, once every 5 weeks or so. And of course, I got my friend Joe saying Beningo again. Jesus Christ. You can't make anybody happy in this world. Jesus crackers. All right, here, not so fun fact, sir. Laurence Olivier, yes, Laurence Olivier was battling cancer in 1975 when they made Marathon Man. He was uninsurable. I know the story, Elephant. I know as much as you do there, buddy, about everything, believe me. I just don't show off the way you show off. I'm kidding. Not much, right? Battling cancer, making Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman and the crew there. In 1975, Robert Evans produced that. Bob Evans produced that, of course. And he was battling cancer, uninsurable. Nobody wanted to hire him. He got a psychological boost, emotional boost from making Marathon Man. So much so that he lived to 1987. I don't know if that propelled him into 12 more years, but it sure didn't hurt. There's a video that goes with Marathon Man that you could see the making of Marathon Man, or then they have an after party that they had for Marathon Man. Hoffman and Olivier, they were very close during the making of that film. And the very famous story, I don't like to tell it because everybody knows this story, but some people don't know. You'd be surprised. Some people, Hoffman would stay out all night because he was playing a worn down, overwrought character in that film. He'd stay out at Studio 54 all night. He'd do all kinds of things at night, and he'd run around the lake in Central Park to try to make himself winded and all kinds of things. He was a method actor from the method school, Stanislavski. For those who don't know, I have no time to explain. So Olivier famously said, my dear boy, have you ever tried acting? In other words, why do you go through this whole rigmarole when you could just act? But Larry Olivier didn't get it. I mean, he was great. He worked from the outside in, where Hoffman worked from the inside out. He was that type of an actor. And I just remember that famous exchange between the two. But that's the one that they talk about all the time, because Hoffman would run and run and run and run and come into that scene winded, like he should have been. I mean, if I'm playing a guy who's running and running and running, and I'm supposed to, they get me right there as I'm coming into the scene after running, you had better, as an actor, you had better run. Really run. Immerse yourself in the whole thing and run. So he was doing what I would do, what an actor would do. But Olivier, being a Brit, was not really from that school of acting. So he was, it was a different story. Did you get that? Now, that was the story. Roy Scheider and, William Devane is still around. Scheider smoked himself to death, another casualty. Scheider was great as Bob Fosse. Bob Fosse, he was great. He was great in Jaws. He was great in Marathon Man, but he died in Marathon Man less than halfway through the entire thing. He croaked in Marathon Man, less than halfway through. I love Beningo too. But Olivier, he was never satisfied with his movie acting. He was always more of a stage actor, never completely satisfied with his movie acting. And he always kind of catered to the other actors, meaning that he saw them as better than he was, although Olivier was better than any of them. But if you see his portrayal in Marathon Man in 1976, it's good. But you see where he's hurting. He's doing a German accent, and he's a Brit. And it was very difficult. I can see that it was difficult for him to get into that accent, to acquire that accent. I did see that. All right. I'm going to bang it up, I think. Unless you have a few more barbs. Any more barbs to throw my way? All right. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you subscribe to my channel, I will be forever indebted. If you do your due diligence and subscribe to the channel, I will be with you forever in spirit. And if you go to that PayPal and help us out, all the better. And if you liked the video and you enjoyed the video, spread the word. Spread the word. Spread the word. Tomorrow, Bill Boggs' midday show. Producer extraordinaire. Just, great author. Tremendous Renaissance man. The great Bill Boggs with me tomorrow at noon. 12 o'clock noon Eastern. Okay? I appreciate it. Take it easy.